When you watch a show, read a book, or just scroll through social media, how often do you process and critically think about what you just saw? What about this scene? Now, I want you to create an opinion about what you think is happening here, or what you initially thought of this scene if you've already watched Alien Stage, and see if this opinion changes by the end of the video. Let's talk about media literacy with Alien Stage as an example. Alien Stage is a series that leaves a lot to analyze without a direct answer given. This has led to portions of the fandom creating theories about basically everything. However, there are definitely some things that can't, or I guess shouldn't, be contested. For those of you who don't know, Alien Stage is a musical series involving humans and aliens. The world was destroyed by aliens, and now they use and create humans to entertain them. The show is about a musical survival competition where children are brought up learning how to sing, later competing against each other in front of aliens. The loser of each round is killed. Now, the music videos are part of Alien Stage, but there's also a comic called An Act Garden, the place where the main cast are brought up in. An Act Garden goes deeper into the lore and the cast's past. For the simplicity of this video, I'll be sticking to the Alien Stage plot as there's a lot more unanswered questions and things left for critical thought in it. But I will also bring up some answers from the comics when necessary. Usually in the Alien Stage fandom, and many others, it's fun to see fan-made theories and proof for them. However, in the past few years, many factors have contributed to the decline in media literacy, resulting in people completely misunderstanding the general meaning of a lot of media. Firstly, what is media literacy? It's the ability to evaluate and critically think about the message within a piece of media. With the drastic increase in media consumption over the last 20 years, media literacy is essential to navigating any space on the internet. In the past 5 years alone, a massive factor that has led to the decline in media literacy is generative AI. Not only due to the overuse of it, making people dependent and incapable of their own thought, but because of the rise of fake content. As AI is a big topic, I won't talk much more about it here, but maybe for another video. Now, a key part of Alien Stage is the demonstration of how relationships develop in a world deprived of human emotion and free expression. The main character, Mizzy, is mutually in love with Sua canonically. The reason I pointed out canonically was because, surprisingly, many people ship the cast in non-canon pairings. This is a very normal part of fandoms for sure, but the difference in this one is the complete denial in characters' own preferences. Mizzy and Sua are both women and like each other. Till is a man and has a one-sided crush on Mizzy. Ivan is a man and has a one-sided crush on Till. Hyuna and Luca are a woman and man who like each other. Now, the creators of the show themselves stated multiple times, specifically in a stream in 2022, that none of the characters really have a canon sexuality and that it's up to interpretation. The more undeniable characters, though, are definitely Mizzy and Yvonne, who are both gay as hell. I mean, it's literally in Yvonne's name. The real problem comes up with Till, who many interpret as bisexual after many of the creators' answers and more recent content from the comics and music videos. In the show, particularly in round 6, you see a lot about Yvonne and Till from when they met to the present moment. I love the lyricism and cinematography for this round a lot, as it demonstrates the difference between them as characters. In particular, Yvonne only really thinks about Till, while Till's portion outlines his struggle with just the experience of being in this world as one of the only contestants who had a real family. He struggles with emotions, he struggles with loss, particularly the loss of Mizzy after the 3rd round. We see the aliens tormenting him with a missing poster of her to force him to perform for them. After what the fandom interpreted as sexual assault, through his struggle, Till still dreams of Mizzy as his savior. As we move on to Yvonne's verse, we begin with the first moment he saw Till. This highlights the contrast between them even as children, where Till has a glow in his eyes despite being taken from his family, representing his innocence and humanity, while Yvonne has the most dead and tired eyes you could imagine a child in this world to have. Through his view, we see how much he cherishes and wishes to help Till through everything. We can see the first example being directly after Till was assaulted by the aliens, where Yvonne goes to take his collar off and comfort him. The lyrics from his verse describe how he doesn't care to have just good moments with Till, but wants his attention in general, no matter how good or bad it is. This is supported with shots of their childhood in Anact Garden, where he constantly bothers Till, putting it in the simplest way possible. Till grew up knowing what love was. He knew what family was. Yvonne did not. So when he sees Till giving up on singing, he decides to sacrifice himself, not wanting him to die. And with Mizzy assaulting Luca in the previous round, then getting taken away by the rebellion, the aliens saw Yvonne's actions towards Till and didn't want another repeat of what happened previously. So they shot Yvonne. This is further because, from my critical interpretation, aliens don't know what a kiss is, but honestly neither does Yvonne. Now I'm not saying that this wasn't purely assault, because it is, but the point is that people are completely missing the idea of why Yvonne did this. Because even from Yvonne's point of view, he must not have realized the connotation of this action, especially with just how aggressive this was in the first place. He wanted Till to hate him, so he wouldn't regret that Yvonne died in his stead. However, with the final and very gentle peck, it was as if to, subconsciously or not, tell Till that he wasn't doing any of this out of hatred. Again, this is up to interpretation, but this is also what I and many people have concluded. Now, in the following round, we see Till thinking about Yvonne and aggressively trying his best to survive for the sake of him and Mizzy. Luca even tries to manipulate Till using Yvonne rather than Mizzy. The truth is, Till sees them both very differently. The creators themselves pointed out that he admires Mizzy and basically wants her the same way you'd want family. But not only do people not understand this from watching the show, but they don't even acknowledge Vivi Meng's comments. Now, if they couldn't understand the messaging of the show or the creators' comments, surely they could understand the comics, right? Nope. They saw a hallucination of Yvonne through Till's POV as a way to villainize Yvonne and say that Till hates him even more. What? When in reality, the comics after Yvonne's death were to symbolize the regret Till feels in not understanding Yvonne's feelings soon enough. In the first place, the misinterpretation of Yvonne and Till's relationship isn't the biggest problem I have, it's just what gets talked about the most. It's the fact that many people deny that this show is LGBTQ in the first place. People ship Mizzy and Till when they're not only supposed to have a familial connotation to their relationship, but also because Mizzy is literally in love with Sua. Although Sua dies in the first round, the main plot of the show basically revolves around how Mizzy copes with not just the death of her lover, but the continuous loss of her friends she grew up with. In the comics as well, this picture of Mizzy and Yvonne shows their comfort with each other. This is predominantly also because of how uncomfortable other guys make her feel, whereas Yvonne only really cares about Till while also acknowledging Mizzy and Sua's relationship. But of course, people began to ship them, as if friendships between girls and boys can't exist, while also devaluing the entire narrative of their sexualities. As much as Till's sexuality has been misinterpreted often, Mizzy and Yvonne have also been mischaracterized as a whole due to their actions in the show and comics. To me, Mizzy is the most complex character in the show, as we're able to see the development in her character more than anyone. Her reactions to losing her friends and lover manifest in sadness, anger, aggression, and hopelessness. She goes through a process of losing a part of herself, finding a purpose again, then losing everything. This picture of her doesn't mean that she is evil and at fault for a lot of what happened, but rather how she sees herself due to the guilt of losing everyone around her. This same mentality applies to Luca, seeing him as evil due to the manipulation he uses on stage to demoralize his opponents. However, he's just a child trapped in a body that's been tortured and abused to create the perfect puppet for entertainment. This is literally all he knows, and this is all that he will continue to be. Now, back to the shipping aspect of the fandom. As much as you're free to ship any characters within a fandom, doing so in a show focusing so much about the development and struggles within each relationship completely strips away the character. Not only does Mizzy feel disgust from even thinking about being with a man, she hates how Till sees her. This is the same as how Sua treats the other characters besides Mizzy, where she's usually very indifferent. You aren't just stripping away an essential aspect of the characters, but their experiences that develop them as people throughout the show. Forcing heteronormativity on the main cast goes completely against what some of the characters believe in and the entire narrative of the show. Not only are you losing the plot of the show, you are ignoring the creator's own implications. Where is the media literacy in this? With how social media has become a cycle of scrolling through short-form content, people are becoming less and less used to processing what they're watching. They watch a video and absorb it at face value. Not only that, many shows and movies are beginning to just clearly state the meaning rather than allowing us to interpret it through critical thinking. This is to appeal to as large of an audience as possible. Furthermore, as much as we're free to express our opinions online, people have started to become defensive or overly aggressive about certain fandoms. This completely strips us of our ability to debate on the meaning or intricacies of media as people become afraid to theorize new things. We're becoming used to surface level plots with no depth, leading us to not even need critical analyses, whereas complex media is taken at face value, leading people to argue about things that are easy to understand if you just do some thinking. No, Mizzy Till isn't canon. No, Till does not hate Ivan. No, Luca isn't inherently an evil person. The list goes on. Such a complex piece of media is hard to consume enjoyably now because of how the fandom grew with people who just want to see boys kissing, or people who believe a boy and a girl are destined to be together if they touch an atom of each other's skin. This video was more so about showing an example of media illiteracy rather than talking directly about it or how to combat it. I think by showing a direct example, especially if you've already watched Alien Stage, you're able to see how much media illiteracy affects the narrative of an entire story. But I hope next time you consume any piece of media, whether it's long or short form, to just think about if it has a deeper meaning or not. Anyway, go watch Alien Stage to stay miserable for the rest of your life.